welcome to Crafting with Kelcey. I'm Kelcey, the City of Flin Flon rec programmer, and I am even more excited than usual for this episode because these are craft kits that I got to you beforehand, and you're gonna have all the same equipment as me, which is fantastic. Okay, we're gonna be making these little sock owls. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. My sewing skills leave a little bit to be desired, like I got a droopy eye over here. But I still think this is one of the cutest things I have ever made. So stay tuned and we'll go through it together.
Alrighty guys, so we're gonna start with cutting all the pieces we need from this sock. We're gonna cut the body, we're gonna cut out some ears, and some wings and a mouth. Okay, so we're gonna start with the body. I've made a picture, so here's where the body cut is going to be. Alrighty, so I'm going to start off by cutting the piece for the body. I'm going to be using this rotary cutter just because I found my scissors weren't quite sharp enough to make it through the sock. So as you saw for the picture, our first cut is going to be right below the heel. Awesome. Make sure if you are using a rotary cutter, if you have one, that you are careful of your work surface because this will go through. Okay. I am going to try to use my scissors for the next part because it is a curved line, and the next cut is going to be the ears. So you saw that in the cut of the body as well. Hope it works with me. Okay. And we're just going to cut a little curve around here. Make a nice semicircle. Awesome, and then you can kind of look at it and see what you think. Right now I can see that this ear is going to be a lot bigger than this ear, so I'm going to take off a little bit more. If my scissors will let me. I might use my rotary for this part. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? All those imperfections are going to give our little owl a bunch more character. Alright, so here are my body parts. This little part we don't need anymore. We can put that aside. Okay. Now I'm going to take my other part of the sock, what I have left, put my body to the side as well. And I'm going to cut out the heel. Okay, so here is a picture of the heel cut we're going to be doing. Okay, and this is a nice cut because the sock kind of has some lines already to show us where to cut. Okay, I'm also going to trim off this little bit of green here that I have left, just so that when I make my mouth, it's all blue. It's not blue and green. There we go. That's our mouth. Okay, so next up we're going to be making the wings. So for the wings we're using the ankle of the sock. And I tried to make a picture, guys, but that one was a little bit difficult because it's all curved lines. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make 3 little bumps. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. Obviously, right? Nothing ever has to be perfect. I'm gonna try with my scissors again. Wish me luck. There we go. If you like, you could kind of draw the lines that you're doing before you do them, but me myself, I'm not too concerned. Okay. And one more bump. Awesome. So there I have one wing. It's gonna stick out the side of my owl, like if my hand was the owl. Right? It's gonna hang off the side like that. So we need another wing. So for that, I'm gonna place the first one on top. So they're kind of a similar shape. And I'm just gonna cut around it. The very top of the sock where the ankle band is, it is a little bit more difficult to cut. So just be aware of that. I hope you guys can see me. I have tried a different recording setup. So fingers crossed this is looking good for you guys. I'm gonna try with my rotary cutter again just because these scissors are giving me nothing but issues. I'm gonna start just by trimming off some extra because we're not gonna need any more. And around that corner, and one right there. Awesome, now I got my pair of wings. Okay, so it's time to start assembling. So I'm gonna start with my body piece. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it inside out. So all my pretty colors are on the inside. I'm gonna look and I'm gonna kind of line up the cuts. Right, so both of my points are together. My cut's a little bit messy. Trim that up a little bit. There we go. And then we're gonna grab our needle and our thread. Make sure, guys, we're being super careful with the needle. It does come with this little foam plug, but when I got mine, it fell off. So just be careful. You're gonna grab your string. And you're gonna tie a knot at the end. You wanna make sure this knot is thick enough that it's not just gonna go right through the sock. So maybe a couple knots would work. I think I'm gonna do at least 2 because I don't wanna be sewing and then it all come undone on me. I'm having trouble tying knots today. Oof. Hope you guys don't mind watching me struggle too much. There's one. And there's 2. So I don't know if you guys can see, but this should be thick enough that it won't go through the sock. Another option is folding it in half. But because this is my first time doing this project, I'm gonna go single because I'm not sure how much of this thread we're going to need. Okay. Threading the needles always the hardest part. If you guys have a needle threader at home, if any of your parents sew, that might be a good idea. Oops. Try not to let your thread fray too much. I can't even pick up the needle. There we go. Alright guys, I'm gonna do this off camera so you don't have to watch me struggle that long. So I'll come back when my needle is threaded. Whew, okay, I got it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew this circle that's gonna make our ears. Okay, so we're gonna poke it through, make sure we're getting both layers of the sock, and whoop, don't let it get tangled up with all your other supplies. And you're gonna pull it all the way through until that little knot is kind of stopping it from going any further. Once you've gone all the way through, you're gonna take your needle, stick it close to the first one, and you're gonna go all the way through the other way. Okay, now we're on this side. We're gonna poke again through, make sure we're getting both edges of the sock, and pull. Awesome. Okay, so now we're on this side, and we're gonna poke through both layers and pull. And we're gonna continue that all the way down until our sock is one solid piece. Oh my goodness. I am dragging stuff from all over. That is crazy. If you guys are unsure about any of the steps, I have included the instruction sheet as well. So if I'm going a little bit too fast, or you just have any questions about it, feel free to reference that as well. There's also a really great introduction to just some basic sewing. Right? It's not something that everyone learns anymore, so it's super exciting to be practicing these skills. There we go. And if you get a knot like I did, just pull it out a little bit, untangle it, and then you can pull it back in. As you're going, you want to make sure that you're still getting both sides of the sock, because if you're only getting one side, then your owl is going to have a hole, and when we go to stuff it, it's going to cause you some issues. I'm so excited to finish this one, guys. This is probably the craft I'm most excited for. When I saw these, this was the first craft kit I picked out because, oh my goodness, so adorable. I'm already thinking of where I'm gonna put mine when I'm all done. I thought it might make a really good decoration on my shelf in my bedroom. So that's one nice thing. This can be a toy or it can be decoration. So fun for all ages and all uses. Man, I'm hoping I found some really jazzy background music so you guys can have something to listen to other than my rambling while I'm trying to sew. I really hope you guys can see. It's just a simple in and out. And if you are, some of you are probably already better sewers than me, you can choose any stitch you like. I'm just doing a basic stitch because I do all my sewing on a sewing machine, so I'm not really used to hand sewing. But it's a good skill to have, so I'm happy to be practicing with you guys today. We're almost getting there. closer your holes are together, the more tight your stitches will be, and the less chance you'll have of ending up with a hole like I was talking about earlier. If you're getting to areas where you're poking through the ankle of the sock, or I mean the very toe, this is the toe end, the toe seam, it is a little bit tougher to poke through, but that's no big deal. Just make sure you're not poking yourself. And if there are little imperfections in your cut, that's totally okay because this is all going to be on the inside, so you'll only see the line that you've created when you flip it inside out, which is pretty cool. Make sure you're going right to the end. Right, the corners are where some stuffing is going to want to stick out on you. You want to avoid that. Okay, I'm going to do one more stitch right on the very end, and then I'm going to be tying off my project. Okay, so what I'm going to do to tie, I'm going to go around. And before this loop gets all the way through, I'm going to come through the middle of that loop. And then pull it tight. And then I'm going to do that again just so it's secure. So through and through the loop. There, that's our first line. I'm going to cut off the end. Cut off the end. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna take our sock and we're gonna turn it right side out, making sure we're poking out the corners so that our owl has nice pointy ears. There, and you can look. This is how the ears will look when our project is all done. Alrighty guys, it's time for us to sew on our details. I've gone ahead and I left my needle threaded, but I retied the knot on the end just so it doesn't go all the way through. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach into the middle of my sock and I'm gonna poke my needle up around where I think I want my eyes to be, or one of my eyes. Then I'm gonna take the little white bits that you got in your kit. Yours would have been attached to a foam sheet. I just pulled mine out. If you were concerned, you could grab scissors and cut them out, but they were a pretty clean cut already. Okay, so I'm gonna go through my little felt piece. This is a little tricky to poke through, just because we wanted to make sure the needles weren't sharp enough to hurt, but it does make it a little bit difficult. I think I'm going to go with my scissors and just make a little starter hole. You don't want to make it too big because then your details won't stick. Right? I'm going to pull all the way through. You also have the option of sewing all the way around the eye. This might be a good idea if you are using this as a toy, right? Makes it a little bit more rugged, but mine's just for decoration, so I'm just going to do it this way. Then I'm going to take my bigger button. Okay, this is kind of for the colored part of the eye, and I'm going to string it through. Then I'm going to take my smaller button, which is for the middle of the eye, and string that through as well. Get them all the way to the bottom. Okay, then you can kind of readjust them a little bit, how you want them. And you're gonna poke through the other side. So this one's a little bit trickier because you have to go through the hole of the small button and through the hole of the big button. And then you have to poke through your eye and your sock. Okay, make sure you're not poking through both sides of the sock. So I've kind of reached my hand in here to kind of guide it, making sure I'm not poking myself with the needle. And then we're gonna pull, 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 pull it all tight. Okay. Once I've got it all pulled, oh my goodness, can you guys see? Once I got it all pulled tight and how I want it, I'm gonna turn this part over so I can see both sides like this. And I'm just going to tie them together. I definitely want to do a few knots for this, right, so our eyes don't fall off. If they do fall off, it's an easy enough fix. You can just reattach them the same way, but might as well avoid that if we can, right? There you go. Once you're pretty happy with how secure it is, you can cut off your end. You don't have to worry about cutting these too close if you don't want to, because this, remember, will be on the inside. Our outside will look like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna repeat this for our other side. Before I do that, I'm gonna retie my knot at the end, just to make sure that my work is all secure. So there's one knot, boop, and two knots. Oh, my knots didn't go in the same place, so I wasn't paying enough attention. So I'm gonna do one more. There, and at least I got two knots in the same place. So once again, I'm gonna come up through the middle. Whoops, poking through in the wrong places. And I'm gonna kind of judge where I'd like my other eye to be. Kind of visualize for a sec. Yep, I think that'll work. So I'm gonna pull it all the way through. Once again, I'm gonna poke through the little white bit. This is tricky with this needles, guys, but it can be done. Or if you have another needle at home that's sharper, you could get a parent to punch it through for you. Or you can use some scissors like I have to. There, I just made it a bit weaker so that I have a better chance of making it through. There we go. Okay, and I'm gonna pull that down to the bottom and kind of readjust a little bit. Then, same as before, I'm gonna take my big button, pull it down, and my small button, and string it through. Pull that down as well. Okay, now here's the part where we kind of have to line stuff up. So I'm gonna go through the little button. And through the big button. Then you can kind of pull it tight. Adjust how your buttons look. Then you can kind of see where you want your button support to be, and you can poke through. Once again, only poking through the front layer of the sock. I'm going to turn this around and use my desk to poke through. It did go through both. No big deal. I'm just going to pull it out from the back side, reach in, very careful not to poke myself, and pull all the way through. Oop. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to, oh my goodness guys, I hope you saw that, I'm sorry. I'm going to turn him inside out again and tie these two strings together. And I'm going to double knot it just for extra security. And cut my ends, or try. The best that these dull scissors will let me. Oh, that wasn't that hard that time. There, no need turning back. He's got some eyes. Ah, he's coming along. Okay, awesome. Alrighty, so next up we need to grab our two wing pieces and our body. What we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of open our owl up so that we can see this side seam right here. Right, you can kind of see where the sock would naturally go flat. And we're gonna take our wing and we're gonna open it up and we're gonna line up the seam of the wing with the seam of the sock. Okay, it looks a little bit a mess right now, but it will make sense when we turn them back the right way. So I've got my needle and thread. Once again, I have tied that knot at the end. Okay. I'm going to start at the bottom of my wing. And I'm going to poke it in. Okay. And I'm going to pull. Then I'm going to poke it back up. Trying to stay on that line. And then I can pull. Okay. Then I'm going to go down. If you don't want to pull all the way through, you can just go down and up. I do suggest pulling on the up though, because it can get kind of tangled if you go too long without pulling it all the way through. Okay, so we're going to go down and up. I really like that it has this nice line to follow. That's awesome. And pulling through. And going back down and up. Getting tangled with my own fingers over here. And down and back up. Okay, do a check-in, make sure it's still lined up the way you want. It is kind of awkward because, you know, a sock doesn't want to naturally lie this way. But that's okay, we gonna make it. We gonna make it. When you're doing this, make sure that you're only going through one side of the sock, or else you'll sew your owl like this and he'll be skinny and a little bit weird. You don't want to pull too tight because you see as you pull tight, it kind of ruffles up. If that does happen, you can just give her a tug and it'll go back to normal. Okay. So we're almost at the end here. I'm going to do one more. Down and back up. This time, before I pull all the way through, you can see I have this little loop. I'm gonna go through it to tie a knot. Now I'm gonna go from the bottom and I'm gonna tie another knot. There you go. Now this should be all attached. Then you're gonna trim your edges. We are going to trim this one down lower just because you'll be able to see it from the outside of our owl. Okay, so now when you turn him, how he's supposed to be, you see he's got these little flappy wings. Placement of the wings is kind of up to you. Now that I'm looking at it, I would have liked to put it a little bit higher, but that's okay. I can still make it work. Okay. Now, same thing on the other side. So you can see this is where my side seam is. I'm gonna grab my other wing, open her up, and line those seams together. Okay. And kind of look, you can see I started attaching at the green line, so I'm going to line it up with the green line again. That way the wings will be equal on both sides. So I've got my string, I'm going to tie a knot in the end again. 1, 2. Okay. Trying to find the other end. There we go. I'm gonna do this one a little bit quicker, guys, but same as before, it's just in and out. In and out, 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 in and out. And I'm gonna pull all the way through. Pull, 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 pull. There's that knot. Pulled a little too much, so I'm gonna give it a tug to kind of straighten it out. So when I'm looking, my stitches are still tight, but it's not ruffling at all. Okay, now I'm gonna tie it off. I'm going in and out. I'm gonna pull, but before I'm finished pulling, I'm going to go through the middle to form a knot. And one more knot. Once again, before this loop is pulled all the way through, right here, I'm gonna go through again. And pull her tight. Cool. So we're going to trim the edges. There we go. And now when we open up our owl back to his regular way, he's got a set of wings. Oh, how cute. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is attach our mouth. I've already started here because I started recording and my phone stopped recording. So all I've done is I've tied that knot in the end. I've picked where my mouth is going to go and I've poked my needle up through that line. So here I have my mouth. I have trimmed it down smaller than the whole heel just because I like the look, but you can kind of put it in place and see how you feel. Okay, so you're gonna open up your mouth and you're gonna put the fold line on the line that you want the mouth to be attached to. Okay, so I'm starting my first poke through. I'm gonna pull it all the way down. Make sure it stays lined up, and now I'm just gonna go in and out all the way across. So in, making sure I'm going through both layers of the sock, or I guess the mouth and the sock, not going through to the other side, in and out, in and out. there at the end. Make sure it's all pulled through. Okay. I'm gonna poke it through so I'm ending on the back. And then I'm gonna turn my sock inside out. Okay. And I'm gonna tie it. You can either tie it like we did with the wings, or you can tie it to the first bit. Totally up to you. Oh man, having difficulties tying today. There you go. And then you're going to trim your edges. Once again, these are inside edges, so you don't have to worry about getting them too close. And then you can open it up. Oh, my edge of my beak got caught up in a stitch. Pull that out. Okay. If that happens to you, you can pull it out and do it again. But for me, it's on the inside of my mouth, so it doesn't really matter that much. Then if you wanted, you could trim some more, because it is kind of hard to get it exactly lined up like it was before, but that's totally up to you. Alrighty guys, it's time for the best part, where your owl really comes to life, and that is stuffing it. So you're gonna open up your stuffing packet. Be aware that it will expand. Look at all this. Right? So it's more than it looks. It is quite compressed in there. So what I'm gonna do first is I've ripped off 2 smaller chunks, and I'm gonna get those right into the pointy ears. I found that ripping it out makes it a little easier, just because you can really make sure that the point shows. There you go. Then you're gonna take a chunk of your body stuffing and you're just gonna shove it in there. You can make your owl as skinny or as chubby as you would like. I like mine a little chunky, so I'm gonna stuff some more in there. Right, and you kind of gotta play with it. Make sure the stuffing is where you actually want it. I think I'm gonna add some more just right in the belly, so that he's kind of got a little gut. I think that's pretty cute. If you want your owl to stand, this is a good chance to check if it will. And if it won't, and you want it to, kind of move that stuffing around. There you go, he's standing. Oh, he's really close to you guys. There. Do I need to move you up a little bit? There, hopefully that's a bit better. Okay, so he's all stuffed. It's time to seal up the bottom. Okay, it's time to seal up our owl. So I've got my needle and thread here with my knot at the end. I'm going to turn him upside down and I'm going to kind of squish him closed. And I'm going to do the same. I'm going to start at the back so my knot's in the back of him. Okay. In and out. You want to make sure your stitches are nice and close together for this one. Just because we don't want any stuffing leaking out of the bottom. Oof. There we go. You're gonna keep going. For this bigger space, I wouldn't suggest going too far without pulling through, especially when we're doing tiny little stitches like we are, right? Because we want them close together. Oops, dropped my needle. You guys moved a little bit. Be careful. You don't want any of your loops to catch and pull off your eyes or your mouth or anything like that. Oh, I am knocking stuff over here. Sorry, just double checking you guys were recording. I had a moment of panic that I was doing this all by myself, which would kind of defeat the purpose of this video. It's supposed to be showing you how. It doesn't help you very much if I just come back and it's done, does it? No, luckily you guys can see. Halfway there. I got a loop. Be careful of those loops because they're hard to fix once you're already far past them in your stitches. Make sure they're going through both. I just accidentally went through one. Now I gotta double check that it's going all the way through. Like I said earlier, guys, I am by no means an expert sewer, so take my technique with a grain of salt. But if you are yourself also not an expert sewer, this will work. Almost there, almost there. Got some knots. Oh my goodness, that's a big knot. Oh, I see. My prior loop went through my new loop. There we go. You can see I'm kind of stretching as I go along so I don't disfigure my owl at all. So You can see as I pull tight, he kind of crumples up. So I stretch him out a little bit to kind of counteract that. Oops. This wraparound here is because I was supposed to go in on this side and I went in on the other side. If you were concerned about how the bottom looked, you could pull that out and do a different one, redo that stitch, but I'm not too worried because on my shelf he's going to be sitting on his butt and you won't be able to see this very much. Okay. And before you seal it off, I kind of like to, you know, make sure he's still stuffed the way you like. He didn't move around too much. Because if he wasn't, you could still put some more in through that little hole. Ooh. Okay, now I'm at the end. I'm gonna tie a knot. Go through, and before the loop is closed, go through the middle. And another knot. Before the loop is closed, go through the middle. There we go, and I'm going to trim off the edge. This is another one that you want it to be quite close because it is going to be a little bit visible. Oh my goodness, he's almost done. All we need to do now is add some feet. Alright guys, next up we are going to attach the feet. So you're going to grab your feet and separate them from their holding foam. And you're going to kind of place them and visualize where they're going to be. Okay, and I'm going to hold that in place. And I flip my owl over to the back. That way my knot will be in the back. I'm going to go through the foot and also through the owl. And then it's just our normal back and forth, up and down. In and out. Just want to make sure that you're getting through both layers of the sock as well as the foot. Right? If you're missing one, the attachment isn't going to be quite as strong. Especially if you miss the foot, that's a major one. You really gotta make sure you got the foot in there. But you know, can be easier said than done. Like right now, I'm having trouble. Oh, there we go. The felt is a little difficult to poke through sometimes. But be persistent. It'll poke through eventually. Man, my needle keeps trying to avoid my foot. There, I kind of used the table to help me poke through a little bit. Careful of your fingers, guys. All right, I've reached the end of my foot, so I'm just going to tie it on. And tying the knot. Tie a couple knots. Oh my goodness. Knots are my weakness. Alright guys, the struggle is real. I'm gonna untangle this mess. You don't need to watch me struggle. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I got that knot out and now I'm ready to fasten on the other foot. So this is the back of my owl. Poking through the foot and through all the socks. Oof. If you guys are nervous, you might want to get an adult to help with the felt sewing parts. The sock is, a little bit of a different story. It's a little bit easier. But when you're going through the felt, you do need to use a little bit of force. And I really wouldn't want you guys to poke it through your finger. Even though it's not sharp, it would take a lot of effort to go through your finger. I don't want anyone to even get close to that. Alright, so don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Okay, this is my last stitch. I know it's hard to see, guys. My hands are probably in the way, but it's the same as the other ones. In and out, in and out. There we go. Okay, look at the front. My stitches look, well, kind of rough, but okay for me. And I'm just gonna tie this off. There you go. Okay, mine's looking a bright mess, guys. I'm gonna trim it all up and then we'll be all done. The nice thing about it looking a mess is that it's looking a mess in the back. There. I gave my owl little cross toes. Think like he's kind of nervous. He's like, oh. A little scared, so he's tapping his toes together. Oh, so cute.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and this has to be one of my favorite projects that we have done. This is unbelievably cute, and I can't wait to put them on my shelf. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope your owls turned out just as cute as mine did. And until next week, stay home, stay safe. Bye.